Football is known to be a pretty risky sport. Players can get hurt because it involves a lot of physical contact. Despite these risks, many people still love football. In today's video, let's take a trip down to one of American football history's most unforgettable and horrifying moments. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tap the bell button so you won't miss any of our videos. On January 2, 2023, there was a big football game between the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals. It wasn't just any game, it was super important because it would decide which team got the top spot in their league and a big advantage in the playoffs leading up to the Super Bowl. The winner of this game would be the #1 team in their conference, which means they'd get a week off before the playoffs start. Plus, they'd play all their playoff games at home, which is a big deal because their fans would cheer them on. Both teams were really good and hadn't lost a game in almost 2 months, so that it would be a tough and exciting match. And to add even more excitement, the game was scheduled for a Monday night, right at the end of the regular season. The game started with lots of action, just like everyone hoped. The Bengals got the ball first and quickly moved down the field, scoring a touchdown thanks to Tyler Boyd in less than 3 minutes. But Buffalo didn't let them take the lead for long, responding with a 25-yard field goal by Tyler Bass. The atmosphere in the stadium was electric, so loud that you couldn't even hear your own thoughts. Then, something terrible happened. It was the scariest moment in NFL history. The Bengals had the ball with a little over 6 minutes left in the first quarter. On the second play of their drive, Joe Burrow passed to T. Higgins, who tried to gain more yards by lowering his shoulder. Damar Hamlin of the Bills tackled him, and at first, everything looked okay. Hamlin stood up, fixed his helmet, but then suddenly fell. The referees blew the whistle right away, stopping the game immediately. Within 10 seconds, athletic trainers and medical staff dashed onto the field. They quickly started emergency CPR on Hamlin, working hard for about 10 minutes until an ambulance arrived. Hamlin stayed on the field for almost 20 minutes, with both teams gathering around him in disbelief. His family rushed down to the field to be with him. The stadium, which had been incredibly loud moments ago, became eerily silent. Damar got oxygen from the first responders and was carefully put into the ambulance with his mother. They rushed to the University of Cincinnati Medical Center, only 4 miles away. At 9:25 p.m., precisely 30 minutes after Damar fell on the field, the ambulance left the stadium. On TV, things looked chaotic, and then Joe Buck mentioned that the league had given 5 minutes for the teams to prepare to resume playing. However, despite the message from the league and the field, nobody seemed to be taking action. Teammates remained seated, embracing each other and shedding tears for Damar, whose condition was still unknown. Throughout this time, both head coaches were in discussions with officials. Eventually, Buffalo's head coach, Sean McDermott, decided to withdraw his team from the field and return to the locker room. 30 minutes later, the game was officially called off, over an hour after Damar collapsed. In the meantime, nobody knew how Damar was doing, and everyone was eagerly awaiting news, which seemed to take forever. Stefon Diggs and his teammates and Bengals head coach Zach Taylor went to see Damar at the medical center. But when Diggs tried to enter, he had to talk to an officer and almost had to insist on being let in, stressing how important it was to be there for their teammate. Outside, another 100 fans stood together, showing their support by holding hands. At last, there was an update on Damar's condition. He had suffered a heart attack while on the field. Thankfully, medical staff were able to revive his heartbeat, but he remained in critical condition. During the night following the incident, something extraordinary occurred. Damar's charity, the Chasing M's Foundation, experienced an overwhelming surge in donations. Before the Monday night game, the foundation had received $74,000 in donations. However, by the next morning, with the support of over 119,000 new donors, that figure had soared to over $3 million, and the donations kept pouring in, surpassing $9 million and continuing to climb. Despite this incredible response, nearly 3 days passed without any significant updates on Damar's condition. Then, on January 5th, not only did the NFL officially cancel the Bills-Bengals game, but the world also received an update about Damar directly from the UC Medical Center. The news was very positive. Damar's brain function was completely normal. Although he needed help breathing with a tube, he could still hold hands with his family and communicate in writing. In his first written question, he asked, "Did we win?" The medical staff responded, "You won. You won the game of life." But the positive news didn't end there. The following day brought another important update, and Damar shared 3 powerful words. His breathing tube was taken out, and he could now breathe independently. His brain function stayed normal, allowing him to speak with his family. During a FaceTime call with his teammates after 4 days, Damar's first words were a heartfelt, "Love you boys." The next day, the NFL's first games since the incident were played, and an outpouring of love was displayed in remarkable ways. Every team in the league showed their support during warm-ups by wearing "Love for Damar" shirts. However, the Buffalo Bills had something exceptional planned for their final home game of the regular season. As they walked through the tunnel, Buffalo players wore Damar Hamlin's number 3 shirts and hats. They entered Highmark Stadium to a cheering crowd of supportive fans. Some players carried "Love for Damar" flags, and the entire team wore number 3 patches. Just before kickoff, the medical team that responded to Damar's collapse was honored for their efforts. At the beginning of the game, the New England Patriots won the coin toss. Instead of starting with the ball, they let the Buffalo Bills have it first. So the Bills received the opening kickoff. And then something incredible happened. As the Bills kicked off, a player named Hines caught the ball and started running back with it. He dodged a tackle from the opposing team and ran past the middle of the field, down the sideline. It was a fantastic start to the game. The most unforgettable moment happened next. While in the hospital, Damar watched the game live on TV. When Hines scored that opening touchdown, Damar was overjoyed. The hospital staff mentioned that he was so excited that he jumped out of his chair, started jumping up and down, and nearly set off all the alarms in the ICU. It was a touching moment. The excitement lasted throughout the game, making it a truly special day for everyone involved. Not just the players and fans, but also the people most crucial to Damar's recovery. Ultimately, the Bills won the game with a score of 35-23. Shortly after the victory, they FaceTimed Damar to share the joy with him, then presented him with the game ball. But it wasn't just Damar who received recognition. They also gave a game ball to the man who saved his life just days before. Danny Kellington, the assistant athletic trainer for the Bills who performed CPR on that crucial Monday night. He played a vital role in the medical team that acted swiftly to save Damar's life and preserve his brain function. Their timely response was crucial, as Damar might not have made it without it. Remarkably, Damar's condition had improved significantly just 1 day after this emotional game. He left the hospital and returned to Buffalo, showing remarkable progress in his recovery. On January 9th, precisely 1 week after the incident, Damar was released from the UC Medical Center and moved to the Buffalo General Medical Center. His condition had progressed from critical to good, and he was able to walk and start physical therapy. However, his time at Buffalo General was short. They ran several tests, such as heart, blood vessel, and brain assessments, and within just 1 day, Damar was given the green light to return home. After his discharge, Damar was permitted to carry on with his rehabilitation outside the hospital, with his family and teammates by his side. Damar visited his teammates a day before Buffalo's playoff opener against Miami, showing great enthusiasm and lifting their spirits significantly. His presence provided a much-needed emotional boost for the team, recovering from the recent tragedy. A week later, Damar attended Buffalo's divisional matchup with Cincinnati. Shortly after, he delivered his first public speech since the incident, showcasing his resilience and determination in adversity. Social media was a big help in keeping Damar's family, friends, and fans updated about how he was doing and giving him lots of support. He shared updates on his own Twitter and Instagram, and people made videos and sent messages from everywhere, even from people who aren't in the NFL. Damar has shown he's strong and grateful to everyone who helped him. He made sure to thank all the doctors and nurses who took care of him. He even made stuff to sell, and all the money went to the hospital that helped him. He also apologized to his teammate Tre'Davious White for what happened and how it affected the team, even though it wasn't his fault. There has been a fantastic change since that Monday Night Football game on January 2, 2023. What started as the NFL's scariest day has become one of the most heartwarming displays of love and unity. This flood of support isn't just for Damar Hamlin, but also for the medical team who worked tirelessly to help him. And that's the story of how Damar Hamlin survived a near-death experience. Football may be a dangerous game, but everyone who loves the sport knows how to show support and love for one another. If you want more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tap the bell button to stay updated on the latest.